The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Paranormal Concept right here on Parasearch UK Radio with your host, Paul Rook.
And good evening, everyone. It is now 9 o'clock on the 21st of March 2017, and welcome to this brand new Paranormal Concept show. How about that? Absolutely fantastic. It's going to be the same but different in every way. And joining me tonight on my show is the very lovely Kerry Greenaway. Hello there.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I love the same but different.
Well, it's going to be the same as before, just different.
Just different, that's right.
Yeah, that's it. The best way to be, same but different.
Uh-huh.
Makes us unique.
Definitely, we're definitely unique.
Absolutely. So, right, tonight's show is going to be talking about the different ideas and concepts, hence Paranormal Concept, of paranormal techniques.
No,
paranormal
investigations.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing but different.
Yeah, exactly.
No, the difference is in paranormal investigations, I think was where we were going.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right, where are we going to start this? Because, I know you wanted to talk about this, and
well,
I know you've got your soapbox ready. I can see it in the corner.
I have.
So bring it
out. Got my
stand on it. And
I have actually got my soapbox ready for this one, guys. Right, I want to start with public investigations.
Okay, and what about them? They're fantastic.
Okay,
I love them to bits.
I know, and I love a public investigation too. I love meeting different people. I love the fact that there's so many people interested in the paranormal and that they come along and they're really enthusiastic and excited about getting the chance to do an actual investigation. And I love the fact that they're able to actually do what they've seen on the TV or what they thought, think it's going to be like, and try out the different things that they've seen and actually have a go. Now, what annoys me about this is that they kind of expect a little bit of the most haunted and the ghost adventures and the TV.
So.
That they don't necessarily understand that there's a lot of sitting around in the dark, not doing an awful lot and waiting for something to happen and setting up equipment. There's a lot of pre-investigation work that goes on in setting up equipment as well, as you know, running public investigations. There's an awful lot of work that goes into it because it's not as simple as just turning up and doing it. There's a lot of pre-location assessments, there's risk assessments, there's, the advertising, the marketing, the research that goes into it. And then you turn up on your investigation and you get a little talk generally before you all begin. And then you begin and you do your walk round and you tell them a little bit of history about the place. And then you basically sort of say, so what would you like to try? Of all the things you've seen and heard about.
But there are a lot of people that go in and they don't know what equipment there is as well.
Or how to use it.
So they just sit there and go, well, I don't know, you're the expert, shit sort of thing. You get on with it. And I'll just tag along for the ride. That's what most of them do.
But you're talking about inexperienced people coming along onto a public investigation, and they kind of expect to see like a ghost or a rapping or a rattling of chain.
Or a rapping ghost even.
Or a rapping ghost around every corner, and it's just not like that.
No, it's not. And what we try to do, I mean, I can't speak for other paranormal companies out there, but our what we do is we give them a little bit of a 5 to 10 minute talk on what the equipment is that we've got for that certain session, and they get to familiarise themselves with that piece of equipment, and then we basically go, well, which piece do you want us to use first? So they've got that little bit of basic understanding, and they can go off and use it in their session. So they literally become the paranormal investigators. So although they don't always have an experience with a spirit, they get the experience of being a paranormal investigator for the night. So whatever way it goes, they've had an experience for that night.
That's right, and that's what a public event is actually about. It's having a taste of a taste.
Yeah.
That being the key word. That is the key word, a taste of a paranormal investigation.
Yeah. So it's like what they see on TV, but different. Same, but different.
Well, this is it. So going on that, there's a lot of pre-misconceptions regarding so-called evidence that's captured on a public investigation. And I'm talking about a large numbered investigation, because I know that there are differences in public investigations as well, because you get ones that have like 40 or 50 people attend, and you have smaller, more intimate public investigations. So let's talk about the ones with a larger amount of people.
Yep.
I do not believe that any evidence that could possibly be captured on a large group investigation can be used as credible evidence, because you can't keep track of all the people in all the places. You can't trust the people that are there. You don't know if they're faking it, or you can't. It's an unknown quantity, isn't it?
No, that's right. And to be fair, the chances of capturing something on a chance, when all these other investigators go out in their own teams and search for years and years, the probability is very low. So again, you can't account for everybody. It's very difficult to gather evidence when you've got 50 or 60 people there. So in that respect, I totally agree.
I would say it's nigh on impossible.
Yeah, I mean, you may still catch the odd little bit of evidence, but you can never totally rule out, other people interfering with it or causing the whatever evidence it is at the time. Noise pollution, you're going to get that as well. So you can't completely 100% rule everything out.
No, you can't. Now, time and time again, after a public investigation, you get the people that have been on the investigation posting what they allegedly caught.
Yep.
And there are degrees, I'm going to say, of expertise out there. There's some people that are hugely experienced in the paranormal field and take it very seriously and are really scientific about it. And there are people that dabble, and there are people that know a little bit more, but not the whole shebang, I suppose you would call it. So there are degrees. So the more scientific experienced people kind of get a little bit upset, don't they, when they see these?
I think what it is expertise is probably the wrong word, because there is no experts in this field. So I would say the more experienced would get that, I think.
But somebody with 30 years experience in the paranormal field is getting themselves all worked up over somebody that's been out on a little public investigation and has no experience, and I just don't think it's worth their time or their effort to get upset about it.
No, it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, the orb phenomena, for example, right now.
And he brought the orbs into the table.
Absolutely, it's just ridiculous. And people come to me with the pictures of orbs, and they go like, "Oh, do you think that's a ghost?" And I'm like, "Well, no, it's probably dust or a bug, moisture in the air." There's loads of explanations for the orbs. So that's just my opinion. I remember a picture quite a while ago. It was a dinner party, and they had one chair empty, and this dinner was put together for their friend that died of cancer. and in this chair appeared a circle of light. Now, in my opinion, it was just the flash of the light bouncing off the cupboard at the back and coming back at the camera, because you could see the flash in the cupboard at the unit at the back. Now, I know what that is, but I just turned around to them and said, look, if you want to believe that is your friend, because that's how she's put it, that her friend was there while they were in their dinner. So if she wants to believe that, then I don't see any harm in her believing that. And she should carry on and just have that opinion. Don't listen to anyone else. But, I mean, I can put a logical explanation to that. But if that gives her comfort in the grieving process, then I don't see any harm in that.
No, and I don't either, because she's not setting out and going, she's just saying basically to her friends, excuse me, she's basically saying to her friends, look how amazing that was, that person turned up, we left them an empty chair, and that person, was there, and like you say, that gave her comfort, and, regardless of, she doesn't want the scientific, correct, logical, perception of that. She doesn't want that. She wants that, oh, that was amazing, they turned up, we set that out for her, and that was really, really important. And but that's like a individual thing, isn't it?
I mean, that wasn't on an event anyway, and I just think that person wanted a bit of comfort, and I gave her that. It was just tactful, I think, is the phrase. I mean, I could have just turned around so easily, like some of these other more experienced investigators, and go, well, actually, you took that with a flash of your camera, it bounced off the unit at the back, and that's what created that circle of light. And, that isn't what you believe it is.
That's right.
But now, we do get inundated with those photographs on the Trident page.
I think we've all seen it, regardless of whose page it is. I think we've seen it because we all belong to quite a lot of different groups to do with paranormal investigations. Now, if someone comes along to a public event, and we're talking like a public event here, we're not talking individual teams going out. We'll get to that in a moment, guys. But we're talking about public events where you pay for your ticket and you come along to a location and you get a taste for a paranormal investigation, and you get evidence as such. You can only put forward the knowledge we know in the paranormal field to the knowledge that we know. Do you know what I mean? I.e. the orb phenomenon. If someone's interested, so what is an orb? You can say, well, if you go to the ASAP site, then you can find an absolute, definitive answer on the scientific logics behind the orb phenomenon. And most people who are serious paranormal investigators dismiss the orb phenomena.
Yeah.
And that way you educate people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's sort of where we go with the public investigations, definitely.
But if they don't want to hear it and they don't want to see it and they just want to see it as a spirit around every corner, or multiple spirits, in some photographs you see like a plethora, love that word, plethora of orbs in some of these photos, particularly sellers. They seem to have hundreds of orbs.
I can't imagine why.
I have no idea why, really no idea why, but we'll leave that out there. Do you know what I mean? It's all about what somebody wants out of that public investigation. But if they're interested in learning and they're interested in knowing, then talk about it with them and try and educate them.
Yeah, we went on an investigation to Shrewsbury Prison, and this was about a week before it was actually on the telly, with another big paranormal group out there, and there was no crowbars. I just want to put that out there. But we had one lady that joined us, and she became quite upset that what we was getting over the voice box was actually quite genuine, and she didn't expect it to be as real as it's made out on the TV, and she became quite upset, and we actually had to take her out of that area and take her back to the hub room so we can sit down with her, do some more protection with her and stuff like that to calm her down. So, I mean, different people have different perceptions, of what it's going to be like. So you do get the people that are sceptical that come out on them just to see what it's like. Then you give them what the genuine experience, and then they're like, wow, I'm convinced. It's just, yeah, I like those type of people. Yeah, all good.
I think there's that thrill factor, isn't there? Which is why a lot of people come out to public investigations, because they've seen the TV programs, and there's that thrill factor. It's almost like when you go and see a scary movie. It gives you that adrenaline rush. It gives you that buzz, doesn't it? And we're going on a paranormal investigation. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, you're so brave and all this. Do you know what I mean? When that's general, the level of excitement when they first turn up is so lovely. And for the jaded investigators that have been around the block a few times,
yeah, that's it. And
it's at 3 a.m, you won't be quite so chirpy.
No, exactly. It's right at high as soon as they get there. But as they go on through the night, you can just feel the energy going drained and
ebbing down.
Straight down, yeah.
And then by 1 o'clock, they're going, I'm cold, I'm tired, these gadgets are getting a bit beyond me. I don't understand what we're trying to do here.
Oh, dear. But no, I mean, it's good. It's still a good experience. And as you said, it is a little bit of a taster to what paranormal investigators do. However, there are groups out there that do ghost hunting as opposed to paranormal investigation, and that's a different type of event, I would have thought, where they just hear noises or whatever and then just jump to the conclusion that it's old Fred, and all he does is like follow people about and pinch people's bums and things like that. It's ridiculous.
I'd love to have a ghost pinch my bottom. I've never had that to this day. I must be doing so. Come on, pinch the derriere.
That's it. Tatton Old Park is Tatton Old Hall is very known for that as well, actually.
Okay, I'm going to book that into my diary. Where did you say that was?
Tatton Hall, the old hall. Yeah.
The old hall. Now, I want to talk a little. Well, this is not my show. This is your show. You should be saying going on. Sorry, I'm taking over.
Okay, so what's next then?
How about we talk about a smaller public investigation because there are some teams that will limit the tickets. So they literally have a nucleus team, and then they only have like 5 to 10 tickets sold for a location. So it's a lot more intimate. It's a lot more private. It's a lot more controlled. It can be a lot more expensive, but you have a lot more of a
it's a personal experience.
It's a lot more of a personal experience, and you get to do more experiments, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I still think, though, that whatever evidence is gathered on that investigation, a lot of other paranormal teams and investigators out there will disregard it because it is still on a public event. And the people that go on the event are not proper investigators, so they could still be doing the experiments wrong and things like that. So it's not always credible.
Is it more? It must be more credible though, because you can control who's where, and you can do the accountability that's needed.
Yeah, but because if I was to run the event, then I could account for everybody. I know how the event was run. I knew where everyone was. So if anything does go on, then we can investigate it. And I've got 2 investigators in each team anyway, so they can investigate the claims and stuff. Now, I know that the evidence that I could probably put out on that is genuine, but from an outsider's view, it's going to be a case of, well, it's still on a public investigation, you still have public there, they didn't really know what they were doing. Do you know what I mean? So there's still questions out there that need to be answered. Now, from my point of view, they would all be answered, but from an outsider's point of view, they would. I think some of them would discredit it or, disbelieve it in some way just because it was on a public event.
I think though that's a general theme throughout, no matter what evidence is collected under what circumstance. I think that's quite a theme throughout the paranormal world as it is at the moment, because there have been cases where people have caught some really good evidence and has had very little acknowledgement, because there's arguments against it. Well, you haven't got the camera set, so you can't see the people in the right place at the right time. You know, I mean, it's very difficult, even if you've got just a team. Do you know what I mean? Just a small team going out, or an individual team going out, regardless of having public or not. If you do capture something, there's always somebody prepared to shoot that down and say, well, there's that lack of trust factor, isn't there? You can trust your team. Yeah. You can. So we've kind of moved into individual teams now, but you trust your team. You know where your team were. You know what they were doing. You know who was there at that particular experiment or positioning or whatever, and you capture something and you put it out, and there's that level of distrust from the rest of the community, from looking at it from, like you say, from an outsider in. You go, well, we don't know that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So just because you're saying it doesn't mean to say that's true. And so there's a huge lack of trust factor in some of the evidence that is being captured, purely and simply because there is that level of distrust.
There is a lot of distrust between teams, but I think that can be down to the experience level. Because, you know, there are teams out there and go, well, I've been doing it for 30 years, I consider myself an expert. As soon as they do that, they're instantly discrediting themselves with teams like mine, for example, because I believe there are no experts. It's just valuing the experience. So if someone of 30 years comes to me and says, well, actually, in my opinion, that picture that you took last week could be this, I could just turn around and say, well, actually, yeah, I can understand that off the back of their experience.
Yeah, that's learning from somebody else's experience in the field. You can't discredit 30 years of experience, can you?
No, exactly. And I think that's sort of where we need to concentrate, I think, because the experience someone has, okay, doesn't necessarily make them an expert, but they could have experienced something that you haven't experienced yet. So, yeah, as you say, it's learning from their experiences and going with that. I mean, I've only had, I don't know, about 10 years of experience in the paranormal. I don't know everything, but I can still pick up on the orbs and stuff like that. You know, it's just, yeah, I discredit 90% of the orb pictures anyway. But then that's just my experience.
Yeah, and that's knowledge that you've gained through working in the field. Mark is in the chat room at the moment. We've got quite a few people in the chat room at the moment. And he said, even if you filmed a headless ghost with his head tucked under his arm, complete with ball and chain in front of 80 police officers, people won't believe you.
No, I think that's going a bit over the top. But no, the problem with most videos now, and especially with CGI and stuff like that, there are a lot of faked videos out there, and it is quite easy now to recreate any video of spirit. I don't think there's any videos out there that you could say that are 100% genuine and cannot be recreated. Yeah.
Well, that's a claim.
It is. To be honest, with animation and CGI and stuff like that, I don't think there's pretty much any video that can't be claimed as genuine, unless obviously you've got multiple aspects, multiple angles of the spirit, or from different witnesses and stuff like that, because then that's going to be harder to recreate. But again, it's.
Could you imagine how many cameras you would have to fully? How many cameras would you have to have in a location to fully cover every angle, every aspect? I mean,
loads.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and it would. I mean, the more this is why it makes it more credible, because if you got 10 people with a camera, all date and time stamped, and they all capture the same activity from different angles, faking it on one camera will be, I suppose, pretty easy, but faking it on all 10 is going to be time consuming, and is it really worth it? So that would make it a little bit more credible than just capturing it on one camera.
But I still think that nobody would believe it.
No, there'd still be the one particular person out there that'd be like, well, actually, if they really wanted to make money out of it or whatever, then you'd sit there and fake it for the whole, for every camera you've got. But it's a bit far-fetched, isn't it? I mean, who's got the time and patience to do that?
Well, I wouldn't put it past some people, I tell you now.
Well, there might be one or two out there, but it still makes it a little bit more credible than just on one camera, in my opinion. I mean, that's just my outlook on it, really.
Okay. Anyway, back to our subject. Let's talk about individual teams, little teams that go out. I love a little team.
Yeah.
You get such a bond amongst a little team, don't you? If it works, if everything's working and everything's ticking through nicely, you do. You get such a lovely little bond.
Yeah, you do. But there does come a time when it just sort of, for whatever reason, people just go their separate ways. So it's not a long-term thing. I've known quite a few teams in the 10 years I've been doing this that have just come in and gone. But some of them are really quite good, and others are not that good. But then it's again down to experience. It really is. And I think a group of experienced paranormal investigators all getting together is probably one of the better teams than a group of friends that have just gone out and done it for a laugh. But you just got to. I mean, you do come across those sort of teams.
Yeah, I think, you do get little pop-up teams, don't you? And then but if you get like literally the right blend of people in the right mindset and all doing it for the same reasons, and, they're learning together.
Yeah.
Then they can be right little powerhouses. You shouldn't underestimate the power of a little team, just an individual team going out.
It comes down to their experience then, doesn't it?
It does, but then it brings in a whole different level of, if you're going to go out as a little team, then you're obviously taking the hobby, which basically it is, isn't it? It's a hobby when we're talking individual teams. And you are going out and, excuse me, you're actually post-investigation. You've got all that research, the after investigation, trawling through the hours of footage and the hours of video recordings and voice recordings, and looking at the experiments and dissecting it and trying to work out if you've caught anything or not, or trying to understand what happened in a particular if an incident happens, trying to understand that from a non-paranormal point of view or a paranormal point of view. Do you know what I mean? It brings in a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
That's where you educate, but that's where your self-education comes in. Because you then go, right, okay, I think I've got this. I think we've caught this. Okay, so let's ask somebody with a bit more experience what they might think. Or you go and you start researching what could possibly have caused that on your camera or your video or your voice recording, or, you that's when you start having to understand it and researching it. And that's where your knowledge of the paranormal investigating starts stepping up a level, because you've gone from just the thrill. You've gone from just the thrill of going out into actually trying to work out what it is that you're trying to capture and capture it.
That is the key to a good paranormal team, though. If they're willing to listen to others and learn, then you've got a good team, in my opinion. And there are teams out there that if they posted a picture and I was to comment on it and give them my view, and then they start arguing with me, and it's like, well, I've just told you what my opinion is. I've been in the game 10 years. You've been in like 3 weeks, and you know what I mean. It's not that I'm 100% confident in what I think it is, and it's not that I'm an expert or anything like that. It's just my opinion based on my experiences. So if they're willing to listen to what I've got to say, then I'll have all the time in the world for that team. But the second they start arguing because they know better, it's like, well, actually, that you've just showed yourself up. I'm not really, interested, and I'd go off and remove myself from their groups and things like that. Some people are not worth it.
No, some people don't want to learn. They just want to, I don't know, dabble, I suppose, is the expression. It's like I said, it's the thrill, it's the non-education of it all.
And they can be the most dangerous of paranormal groups, is what I think.
Yeah. Dangerous, or just the more experienced people just put it down to, it's just a bunch of idiots. I said that really quietly there, didn't I?
I suppose a bit of both, because they don't know what they're doing. If they was then to start dabbling the Ouija board, for example, if you don't know what you're doing, it can be quite a dangerous piece of equipment. And paranormal investigation is no different, because if they do something that they've seen other teams do and they don't understand that experiment, they could be opening up all sorts of trouble and all sorts of cans of worms on that. So they can create more of a problem than before they went there. So again, it's down to education, and if they're willing to learn and listen to other people, that's the making of a good team.
Yeah, I agree. Should we go to a break?
Yeah, should we have a 30-second break?
Should we have a little break?
If I can,
everyone catch their breath in the chat room.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's do this then.
Hello, this is Kerry Ann. Please join me every Thursday at 9 p.m. on Seventh Sanctum, only on Parasearch UK Radio.
Hi, this is Mark. You can join me and Kerry at 9 p.m. every Friday night on the Dark Night Show, only on Parasearch UK Radio.
And welcome back. We are talking about the difference in paranormal investigations with Kerry Greenaway. So, Kerry, what's next we're going to be talking about?
Should we talk ghost walks?
We should talk ghost walks, because, yeah, go for it. Talk ghost walks.
I love a ghost walk.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. I love it. I just love a ghost walk. I love to hear about the history of places. I don't expect to see any ghosts. I'm not going to just put that out there. I don't expect to. I don't expect that. I don't expect to get any evidence. I don't even expect to get huge amounts of kit out, because you try carrying a load of kit around on a ghost walk, it's just not fun.
I've done that. That's
not fun.
No, that's why I have combat trousers and pockets for everything.
I know. Yeah, £60 kit on your back, trying to go through woods or stuffing. I don't, but I do love them. I have to say, I do love them. I don't know why.
I do think ghost walks are totally different to a paranormal investigation.
Different.
Because basically you are just going there, listening to the ghost stories of the area. You're walking through various areas that, I don't know, murders or witchcraft could have been, done there, and you're seeing these places with your own eyes. Basically, you're not out to go ghost hunting or anything like that. It's just a scare tactic almost.
It is. I went on a ghost walk in York, and I have to say the guy who did it was fantastic. He was absolutely amazing. He was, his orations and his ghost stories, he told it with such a good way of telling it that you, while standing outside the alleged location of the incident, and it was a proper thrill. It was really good. You're looking up at the place thinking, oh my God. And having done paranormal investigations, I'm pretty brave normally. And but the way he told it and the way he explained the stories and stuff, it was absolutely brilliant. I loved it.
Did he dress up though?
No, I didn't go on. I don't like the ones where they all jump out on you and stuff like that. I tend to punch. I tend to turn around and punch people, which doesn't go down too well. I have to just put that out there. But where they're like leading you around and literally just telling you like the history and the ghost stories of particular locations. As I did one in York City, I've done one in London as well, and they're brilliant. I loved it.
The one I it wasn't a ghost walk though. It was a bus tour. I'd done one of those bus tours in London. And it was a big black Routemaster bus. The guy that was actually doing it, he was telling the stories of the ghosts in like the Bank of England and various other places. But he was really quite funny, and it was almost an interactive bus tour as well, because you had like a ghost that was supposed to be on the bus. And you had this mad woman, just jump out onto the bus, and she had like long black hair covering the front of her face. You couldn't see who it was. It was almost like the adult version of the girl from The Ring, you know. And she was like right up in your face, and it was funny. It was really good evening out. So if anyone gets a chance to do that, it's like the Ghost Bus Tour in London. Absolutely fantastic, it really is.
And they're really fun. Those kind of events are just so much fun.
They are, and it is just a totally different experience to a normal paranormal investigation or ghost hunting event. It's just learning a little bit more about some of the local legends. Not even whether it's genuine or not, because it's not really. You know,
it doesn't kind of matter, does it?
It doesn't matter.
Genuine or not, you kind of just want the thrill. You just want the ghost story. You want that is pure thrill seeking. That is pure fun.
It is. The interactive
that make me a bit weird.
No. You know what? Like, one year when I first started doing the paranormal investigations and stuff, as a team, we thought as a team bonding thing, we'd go to. Charlton House, because they had a history tour around Charlton House, because it used to be a World War I hospital. So we done that, and then afterwards we was like, let's go down to the London archways down by, I think it's London Bridge at the time, where the London dungeon is. A few of those archways they done up as a interactive ghost walk thing. So you walk in there, and there was a bloke dressed in like as Death, basically, taking the money as you walked in, and they'd got these 6 foot high metal posts, you know, like what they put around big holes in the ground. It works and engineering works and stuff. They had them fences, and on the other side of those fences were people, and they were trying to grab your ankles as you was walking down around the little maze. And there was even people in, you know, the death masks with the long noses.
Oh yeah. Plague masks.
There's people in the maze with you, and they were like reaching out for your face and things like that, and going like zombies and all that. And do you know what? That was really scary. There was like 5 of us that went on that, and they all pushed me up front, so I had to lead the whole group. Everyone was holding hands with each other, and we was going around this maze, and we was like, we got lost in this maze, and we was like, we don't know where we're going. And then this bloke appeared, and he started like reaching for my face and everything. And one of our group was like, "Excuse me, which way do we go?" And halfway through,
the politeness of that. "Excuse me, Mr. Scary Man, can you just point us where we need to go?"
Exactly,
next?
And he did. He halfway through his moan, as he's moaning at us, he was like, "You got to go down there." And he's like, "All right, cheers for that." And,
oh my goodness,
that was quite funny. That it really was. But I vowed never to do one of them again. It was so scary. And one of the rooms, right, there was this girl dressed as the ring girl, and she was standing
she gets everywhere.
She does, especially in London. Don't ever go and see her. All right, she was standing on this broken glass. There was a bath in the room, and it was filled with blood or red paint or whatever it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she had this hammer, and as I went to talk to her to like, which way do we go now? Because we was ushered into one room and was like, well, there's no door to go through, so where do we go, or do we go back out and around again? And I was about to ask her, and she just lifted her arm up with a hammer in it and smashed it on the door that was like inches away from my head. And I was like, sod this for a laugh. I'm going. you can imagine my response.
I was going to say, that sounds horrendous.
It was horrendous.
Well, give me a paranormal investigation any day.
It was absolutely horrendous, and I just vowed then never to do these things again. It was like, nah, you're all right.
No, there's thrill seeking, ghost hunting, paranormal investigations, but that takes it to a whole new level.
It does. I'm so never doing those again. And even with the zombie nights and things like that, I don't like those either for the same reason.
I love a zombie.
No, I can't be doing.
I love a zombie.
There was actually I can't remember what group it was, but they done like it was almost like an extreme horror night, and it was basically they'd give you a tent and you'd go camping in the woods, but at some point you would have this like axe murderer jump out on you, and they said like that they said in the advert that some techniques may be a bit sexual, so I really don't know what they intend to do, but they were like, at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to sleep, a chainsaw would come through the tent and things and drag you out, and it's like,
oh my God,
people pay for this stuff?
Well, in America there's a house, isn't there, that they've got like a waiting list for months and months and months, and it is so extreme.
Yeah,
it is so extreme, and they well, from the trailer, it was just absolutely horrendous. They gag you, they bound you, they cover you in blood, they shout at you, they hurt you, they slap you, you know what I mean? It is so extreme. That is not my kind of party. I'm just going to put that out there right now. That is not my kind of party.
And it was really horrendous. And
give me a paranormal investigation any day. I'd rather do that for my thrills than get covered in blood and be slapped by somebody. I'd come out punching.
It sounded absolutely horrendous, this one, and it was up north somewhere. I was like, what really intrigued me about this was the whole use of sexual techniques may be applied. And I'm like, might be worth going.
Okay, Paul. Been a while, is it?
I just thought, what could they possibly do? Do you know what I mean? It's like, really?
Oh my goodness. Oh, Paul, send me the link afterwards.
Yeah, I think I'll have a look for it.
We'll put it in the chat room for you guys. Anyway, we've gone off topic just a little bit. Let's talk private investigations.
Okay.
Private ones.
Okay, private investigations, lovely little things they are, but I think a lot of paranormal teams do them wrong.
Okay.
Now, you've got to approach these a little bit more scientifically than most things. So you're going to have interviews with the people, and you can't just do them over one night either. You've got to do it and span it over, I don't know, a few years if possible. It's just, because you're gathering information.
So what you're saying is you need to build a case study up.
Yes, absolutely.
And yes, Ashley, sorry, private as in residential.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to clarify that.
Absolutely. There are people that just want, as someone I knew quite recently said, they just wanted someone to perform live Most Haunted in their living room. It was that a lot of people want that, but when they approach someone for paranormal investigation, they don't necessarily understand what that is. And it is, as a paranormal investigator investigating, you are building a case and then presenting your findings. So you can't just do that over one night. You have to keep going back at regular intervals or irregular intervals, whatever way the investigator wants to do it. So I do think that there are teams that do these sort of things different ways, and there isn't any set pattern or techniques really to use with those. You just got to try and investigate the best you can and come up with answers scientifically.
But you have to look at it in so many different ways on in residential investigation. You have to look at it in so many different ways. Like you say, you start off with an interview, you then ask them to fill out a log, I'm assuming.
Yep, that's
you
right.
then, like you say, and you build up a case study of the experiences, and you look at all different things. You're looking at psychological factors. You're looking at the habits that they may have, like alcohol or drugs or family circumstance, or there's a lot more in-depth study that goes into that kind of investigation. It's a lot more serious. This is where the fun comes out of it, actually, I would say, in regards to, let's go on a ghost hunt kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because, it's a whole different level of fun. It depends on where you get your kicks, I suppose. But it is about building up that case and actually working towards trying to find out, like you say, a logical scientific explanation as to what is actually occurring within that situation. Am I right?
Yep, totally. That is pretty much how I go about it. If someone was to approach me asking me for a private investigation, the first thing I would want them to do is do about 2-week log of all the activity that goes on in that week, in those 2 weeks, just simply because I want to see whether or not there is a pattern in what's happening, whether it'd be worth doing a nighttime investigation or a daytime investigation. Because there is no set time to do the investigations. I know most people do them at night, and I think that's probably because it's more convenient at night, because a lot of other investigators have day jobs. But if all the activity happens at 3:00 in the afternoon, then there's no point doing a night investigation. You need to do it at 3:00 in the afternoon. Well, a bit earlier so you can get set up all your stuff. But you can see if you can pick out patterns in the activity. So that's why the log is important. And you're basically conducting you want to try and build an experiment around the activity as well. So I suppose in a way there's no set experiments. As long as you can. I think going back to the early days when you used to be in school and you used to do the science experiments then, and it was like what, why, and when or something. If you can answer all those questions, you're putting together your science experiment.
Right.
And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. You're experimenting and coming out with answers to why things are happening.
So you're approaching it more in a psychological point of view rather than a paranormal point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. You approach it scientifically. I mean, you could go to someone's house and I don't know. It could be quite as simple as some of the drugs that they're taking for their medical problems if they have any.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose my sort of day job I would consider ambulance work. Because I'm qualified as an ambulance tech. Now, I'm quite capable of examining someone for mental issues, because that's something that I've been trained for. So I apply that in the paranormal. So when I go to someone's house, in the interview, I will have basically a medical form that I ask them to fill out, and it just stays with me. But I can look up all their medications. I've got countless books on different medications and all the side effects attributed to that medication, so I can look at that and come out with, a reasonable explanation. So it's something that does need to be looked at, but it is literally all as scientifically as possible.
And I would say confidential.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely confidential between myself and the customer. Client, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
I mean, when that happens, it is literally me and the client. None of the other investigation team is privy to that information. And yeah, it's something private between myself and the client, because I'm bound by the obviously the doctor-patient confidentiality thing.
Yeah.
I'm bound to that as well as an ambulance tech. So, yeah, I'll take that very, very seriously.
Is there lots? Do you get a lot of those? Have you been on a lot of those kind of investigations, Paul? Because I haven't.
I've been on one where I've found that the person, although she wasn't on any medication or anything like that, she was quite a psychologically, she was always after attention, and that's what she was getting through the paranormal experiences that she claimed she was having. We found no evidence of any activity whatsoever. She was just calling us out because she wanted the attention. So, I mean, we basically tried to tell her in the best possible way that, you know, that there was no activity, but we sort of reassured her. So although, you know, we didn't say it like she was making it all up and she was a loony or anything like that, because that's not the right way of going about it, but we sort of gave her a few gemstones, like the ones like to keep bad spirits away and negative energies and stuff like that, and we just basically told her they will help, they would work, almost like a placebo effect.
Yeah.
So it's reassurance, and we gave her those, and she was absolutely perfectly happy with that.
Okay. Do you think under this kind of investigation, do you think you can introduce the spiritual aspect, like a medium, into it? Do you think it's responsible?
There are sometimes. I have gone to an investigation, and this was in Southend, and we was contacted by a young girl, and I believe she was about 15 at the time, and she said that her mother was put into Southend Hospital for mental issues, but there was a lot of noises and things happening in the house that was scaring the 15-year-old. So we actually went round there as a paranormal team, done our investigation, and the mother, in her breakdown, or whatever you want to call it, she would write down people's names constantly in a book, and the 15-year-old gave us this book so we could have a flick through, and all the names of my paranormal team were in it, over and over again. And also, earlier that week, we even picked out a logo. It was like a triangle with an eye in the middle and a circle around it. And we picked that a week before we went on the investigation. And interestingly enough, that symbol was also in that book. So it was almost like we was destined to cross paths with this case. And we also attributed to most of the activity around a painting that the mother did. So we wasn't so sure she wasn't mentally ill. We thought maybe it's more of a spiritual thing going on. So we did actually call in someone that we've worked with, and she was a light worker. And she basically closed the whole house down. She blocked any spirit activity, any energy activity going on in there. And she felt that around this painting, it was almost like a portal from this world and the next, and she closed that down as well. And ever since then, they've had nothing. The mother's come back from the hospital absolutely fine, and yeah, I mean the whole family's getting on and
doing well.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point, isn't it? It's trying to help people.
Absolutely, and it was quite an interesting case. And to even have our names in a book and our logo that we only picked a week before, that was almost destined to be.
Ooh, I bet that sent a chill up your spine.
It did a bit, yeah. And,
like, okay, we got
absolutely.
Something here.
But we didn't actually capture any proper evidence that I would quite happily put out there. It was more of a spiritual picking up, like sense-wise, things were going on, but nothing happened while we was there. So we thought we'd get this light worker to come in with us on the next time and do her stuff, and she closed it all down for us, and it all worked out absolutely fine. So although it's almost like at the time I was confident in what I was doing, but I knew my limits. So because I knew that I couldn't close it down at that time, but I knew someone who could, so I got them to come in and help us.
And you called the right person in.
Absolutely. And although paranormal teams are out there to help, sometimes they can't, and they might have to get someone else in. So I would rather do that and know my limits. And again, that's how we all learn.
It's trying to marry the two together, isn't it? It's trying to marry the scientific, logical, find an explanation for it, try and prove it kind of side of it with the side that you can't actually prove.
Absolutely. You've got the science, you've got the spiritual side, and also I think you've also got a reassurance side of it as well, because sometimes there are things that happen that you can't find out spiritually, you can't find out scientifically, so it's down to the client. So if you can reassure the client, then sometimes that's enough to stop the activity.
Yeah, it's about reassuring the client. Sorry, you dropped out for a second there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's all about reassurance, I think.
Yeah, reassuring and trying to help and put them on the right, and that's, as I say, private.
Yeah.
We've covered quite a few tonight.
We have. What's next?
Did we cover them all?
I don't know. Did we?
We did big public, we did little public, we did individual teams.
Yep.
We did ghost tours, ghost walks, ghost tours, didn't we? We've done private. Yeah. Is there any others?
Not that I'm aware of.
Individual, personal, individual people going out. One single solitary person going out and doing it.
Okay, going out and doing it all on your own.
All on your own.
As much as it's a good idea, because obviously you can account for your own actions. Sometimes, I mean, I wouldn't suggest anyone really going out on their own, because there's no one to back up your story. So if something happens to you that you don't actually quite capture on camera, it's just a story, isn't it? You know, it's just your word against everybody else's then, because there's no one else to back up your claims.
Yeah, but it certainly broadens your own experience base.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can do that. You can put it into your own personal experiences. But when you're telling everyone else, and they're like, well, did anyone else actually see it? Well, no, I was on my own. And I'm like, right, okay.
Does that where the tech steps up a level?
It can do. Tech can be a great help, but I think sometimes it can be hindrance as well. I'm not one for using loads of tech anyway. But, I mean, the cameras come in handy quite a lot, and voice recorders. But as for anything else, I'm not really into them that much. I mean, we've got them for the investigations that I do, but I don't always use them. And it's just a mix and match as well, so depends what I fancy at the time.
Well, I know one guy who's got 7 bags of kit he takes with him. 7 bags of kit. I was looking at this kit going, oh, okay. I don't know what any of this does. I know what that is. That's a voice recorder. That's a K2. That's a spirit box. That's a millimeter. And that's it.
Yep. I've got 3 bags, and I'll try every investigation I do. I try and condense it down to one. So I don't want to carry it all around with me.
This is why you can't take a lot of tech when you're doing a ghost walk.
No, exactly.
Can you imagine carrying that? 7 bags. Yes, Ashley, 7 bags.
Yeah, 7's a bit extravagant.
Excessive. It's very excessive. But that's what floated that particular person's boat, so we can't criticise. I mean, if he could capture it, he certainly could. Yeah,
and I'd expect evidence every time that geezer went out.
Well, I don't know about that. I can't say. I honestly can't say on that one. Anyway, I think we're coming to the end of the show.
We are. We've only got about 30 seconds left.
Oh my God. So what else is going on this week?
This week we have, I don't know, what's happened. We're changing our schedules, aren't we? I think the Wednesday night show is now on a Monday.
Yeah.
That's
I think that's next week.
Jay and Teresa next week will be on a Monday with their Hindsight Paranormal or Paranormal Hindsight. Then my show, what did I call it? Paranormal Concept. That's it.
Anyway, this week we've got, what's tomorrow? Wednesday. Have we got a show tomorrow?
I don't know what, I'm not too sure.
I'm not too sure.
I know we've got Penny coming up in a few weeks' time on Wednesdays.
Yeah, Haunted Histories she's going to be doing. That's going to be fascinating. Yep. Then tomorrow, on Thursday, Kerry Ann on her Seventh Sanctum show is interviewing Ashley Nibb.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and then on Friday you've got the Great Paranormal Debate.
Yeah, I can't remember what we're doing then.
Well, that's always relevant, current things you talk about, don't you, on the debate?
It is. Whatever we find in the news this week, we'll be talking about, and Kerry Ann will just be wrong.
She's never wrong. You know, she's a girl.
I'm always right.
She's never wrong.
No, I just let her think that. I'm always right.
And then after that show, you have got the Dark Mirror show. A little change there. And that is with myself and Mark Manley. And we are doing the spontaneous human combustion this week. We're talking about spontaneous human combustion.
I'm so going to be there for that one. That's going to be really fascinating.
I hope so. I've been talking to all sorts of people about this particular subject, fire chiefs and all sorts. So we shall see. And I've even got an interview lined up with a doctor.
Excellent. Which one? David
Not
Tennant?
An interview as in, you won't hear it. I'm going to go and talk to a doctor.
Oh, okay.
About
which one? David Tennant, Matt Smith?
Oh, well, you know, if we're talking doctors, I might see if I can get one of those on. No, I'm going to go in and talk to a doctor about spontaneous human combustion, and we'll see if he laughs at me in the same way the fire chief did.
Okay, fair enough. Next week's Paranormal Concept is going to be about the Mandela effect. I'm going to try and tackle that subject.
Good boy.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. It's going to be good.
I think that's going to be very good.
But anyway, we have gone over by 2 minutes 20 seconds now. It's terrible. It's because you just keep talking.
I do. I can't shut up.
So I just want to thank everybody that's been in the chat room tonight. I hope you found it really interesting and listen to us waffle on about paranormal investigations. So hopefully I'll see you all again for the Great Paranormal Debate, and have a safe week, everybody. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.